This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Tuesday, November 29th, 2022, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. And in today's episode, I will visit with Rod Jurgens, a Northeast Iowa farmer, and the big topic of discussion will be tar spot. As always, we will have a check of the ag weather outlook as well, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined now by Jacob Burks of agmarket.net for some market analysis. Jacob, what did we see on the grain markets here today?
This was kind of felt like a carryover from last week and probably something we should get rid of after a harvest, kind of holiday trade. Maybe everybody still has a Thanksgiving hangover. I don't know. The markets have been pretty quiet here. We've been in a very tight range in the corn. We did sell off here as we're going through the close here. We're going to be 2 to 3 cents lower across the corn market. The big soybean market up 2 cents. Wheat's going to be up a penny in Chicago, down a penny in Kansas City. I guess we're down 3 cents in Kansas City. All in all, it sounds kind of boring, but the fact is it hasn't had a lot of information, a lot of trade. Realistically, you're looking at South America with some weather issues, potential, significant dryness going on in Argentina. There's some private guys that are cutting their corn and bean estimates back as we speak. Realistically, we're in a weather market in December, and that's something that we have to just get used to every year now. But I think that as we go forward, we'll be paying attention mostly to the the Ukraine situation and any type of outflow of grain there, and this, what's going on in China as far as the COVID restrictions and how they're coming off that. But quite boring trade today.
You mentioned that dryness in Argentina. How dry is it there right now? Is it something where we're starting to think it is actually going to affect that crop in terms of how the markets play out?
I think so, definitely so. I mean, you're starting to see, the point of the as far as planting in the dryness is not that big of a deal, and you're starting to see some of that dryness come up into Brazil. But when you are dry, it's the fear of staying dry. And I think there's some intense heat from the weather report, the latest weather report that I saw today that's forecasted in a high-ridging dome over the southern part of Argentina, and all areas are affected there in that Argentina country, and in the Brazilian area. Some of the planting is being a little bit delayed because they need the moisture there to make sure it's going to germinate. So I'm not there. I don't know how dry it is. I haven't been lately, but from biggest records that we're seeing, it looks like a significant number starting to get knocked off of some of those corn numbers in Argentina.
And here closer to home, Jacob, unfortunately, we have the situation with the railway strike potentially again, and we now have a set date of December 9th as when really that's going to, I guess that's the date. We know that they have to have a deal by then. So has that played out yet? Have we seen that anything come from kind of the reignition of this worry of a strike with the railway workers?
I almost felt like the market traded a little bit more comfortable today, whether it was the grain markets, whether it was your stock markets. Everything seemed to quieten down a little bit. And the only thing I could think of maybe was the fact that knowing that the government has said they will step in, and they sound like they have somewhat of a plan. I think they're in a little bit of a predicament. If they're going to listen to the unions, or are they going to just roll over them? I think that's something that the market felt almost more comfortable that there's going to be something solved, that the railways are going to continue to move. And if they continue to move, that's very significant for areas in the Midwest here where we have corn that could just be stuck if it's not moving. And it's probably even more significant for the guys out west that really need to feed cattle and keep ethanol moving. So I felt as though it's almost more comfortable today after they have made mention that they do have a plan and that they will enforce it.
Mentioned still maybe a little bit of a hangover from last week. for the holiday trading period with grains, and maybe that's continued a little bit. What's the story on the livestock markets? Is it still a little bit quiet there as well?
Well, it was very quiet trade today. I mean, you're seeing some lower volume. You did see feeder cattle a buck higher in the front months, trade up to 178. That's coming off of some, 4 days of downward movement. But I think that there looks like to be some good stability there, some good support. You're watching a cash market that is, still strong, and the futures have sold off in spite of that. So, that looks like a little bit of, fund movement, fund trading, as far as going in from last week, maybe almost even profit taking going into the end of the month. But I suspect that you'll see them guys come back and be willing to buy this live cattle and feeder market as we go forward. On the hog side of things, big, huge push down yesterday. That chart does not look good. I think you could see some more technical selling there.
He is Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. Jacob, how can our viewers get in touch for more great information?
I guess look us up, agmarket.net. Take a look at our 30-day free trial of our Intel. And you can look us up there on the About Us portion, and we'd love to chat with you.
Jacob, thank you for the time. Have a great day. And once again, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Y'all have a good one.
That was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net with our market analysis. It's time now to take a look at the closing numbers. Those numbers brought to us courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart.
December corn is down 3 even at 665 3/4. January soybeans up 2 1/4 at 14.59 1/2. Soybean meal for January down $4.10 at 407.60. Soybean oil for January down 14 cents at 72.98. Chicago wheat up 1 even at 757 3/4. Minneapolis wheat down 11 even at 940 1/4. Kansas hard red wheat down 3 3/4 at 901 even. December oats up 4 1/2 at 392 even. On the Merc, live cattle for December up 10 cents at 152.67. January feeder cattle up 110 at 178 even. Lean hogs for December up 47 cents at 81.07. Pork cutout for December down 15 cents at 89.95. Class 3 milk for November up 1 cent at 21.04.
And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I will visit with Rod Jurgens. He is a Northeast Iowa farmer. He was speaking today at a tar spot summit, and we're going to learn about how he has identified tar spot and also worked to combat that on his farm. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today I visit with Rod Jurgens. He is a Northeast Iowa farmer who was speaking today at a tar spot summit, and he was on a panel of farmers and experts talking about tar spot and ways to combat it. Mark Magnuson on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Rod Jurgens. Rod is from Hopkinton, Iowa, but Rod, today you're actually, I believe, out of state. Could you tell us where you are today? What event are you at?
Yeah, we're in Westfield, Indiana at the AgReliant Genetics facility, and we're at a tar spot summit today.
So, Rod, obviously tar spot has been an issue that we've talked a lot about here in the state. I think this year especially because the conditions were kind of just right for it in the bad way for farmers. And we heard a lot, I think, throughout the year that tar spot was prevalent in the eastern part of the state. Now, Rod, you're from Hopkinton, Iowa, Northeast Iowa. Did you deal with a lot of tar spot this year? Did you see a lot of tar spot in your area?
We had tar spot, but it was very manageable if you did a fungicide application at tassel time or sometime in the reproductive phase. You know, it was manageable. Don't like to go not treating for with fungicide just because there is that chance of 20 to 40 bushel yield loss.
And Rod, from what I understand, tar spot is an issue, for many reasons, but one of the things that's a little bit concerning about it is sometimes you have it before you even realize it. Was that the case for you? Were you able to get after this pretty quickly when you were able to identify tar spot?
So I always plan for tar spot now since 2018, and we can stay ahead of it. It has a long incubation period of 24 to 30 days before you see lesions. And so once you see the lesions, you're kind of behind the eight ball. So we just go with the full tassel application of fungicide, and it really works well. I mean, it'll keep the yield loss to a minimum.
And you mentioned that 2018 year. Why was that year significant? Was that the first time you had encountered tar spot?
So I come home from vacation that year, and I seen this field, was premature dying going on out in the field, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And so called a few people, and sure enough, it was my first experience with tar spot.
And have your friends in the area, some of your farmers that you talk to, do they all have similar experiences with tar spot?
I believe so. They all seen the yield loss if you're not spraying a fungicide. So pretty much everybody in my area, I would say, I shouldn't say everybody, 60 to 70% are now spraying tassel fungicide.
So you mentioned that timing. That's interesting to me because I've heard that you can spray, a little bit earlier on, but if you do miss that window, like you said, you can still spray at tassel time. And it might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but that seemed to work for you. That was something that, even though it was later on, it still was effective?
Very effective. We're seeing from V10 to R2 probably is the right time, but I think the sweet spot still is right at tassel.
Rod, what would you say for someone that's trying to figure out, hey, do I have tar spot? Because it can be a little bit hard to identify because it does look similar to some other crop issues, but is it just that flick of the black substance that almost does look like tar on the corn that is allowing you to identify it the best?
Yeah, it'll start in your lower canopy of the corn plant. But honestly, when you see that, it's kind of late. You're going to still control it, but you're still going to have yield loss if you wait that long. So it's better just to plan now and spray when you're at tassel or V10, pre-tassel. Just get the application done and you'll have a great corn crop.
Now, there's a lot of things that are hard about being a farmer, but Rod, you're getting new challenges thrown to you all the time. You mentioned that 2018 was really the first time that you worried about tar spots. So what's that like, knowing that there's just always something coming around the corner?
Well, if you plan for it, you're going to be very successful. If you just shrug it off, it can be very devastating. I mean, down corn, yield loss over 50 bushel the acre. It's not a fun experience. So.
And Rod, I know you're in Northeast Iowa. We did hear that I think tar spot was pretty widespread throughout the state this year. It was just that the areas of intensity. But have you heard from other farmers in western parts of the state, central parts of the state that have had tar spot? Have you had any interactions with farmers in those areas?
I haven't had a lot of experience that way, but I talked to one gentleman over in north central Iowa, and they definitely have tar spot too now. So, and they're treating for it. So.
And it certainly does seem like something we're going to have to continue to deal with. It's been in those states to the east of us and has slowly moved its way this way. Rod Jurgens is our guest here today on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Rod, is there anything else that you'd like to let our viewers know about when it comes to tar spot? Maybe a tip that you could give to them, or just anything in general that can help them out?
So I do aerial application of tar spot with the fungicide. I'm running 5 gallons of water with my airplane, and it seems like the more water you run, you get better coverage. Or a ground rig, meaning you can spray up to 15 gallons of water. That's the key of the whole thing, I think, is coverage, the gallons of water you use. So it's been a great help. I went from 2 gallons to 5 gallons, and just really helps eliminate the tar spot.
He is Rod Jurgens, a farmer from Hopkinton, Iowa, Northeast Iowa, talking about tar spot today at the Tar Spot Summit in Indiana. Rod, thank you so much for the time, and have a great rest of the day here today and a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
That was Northeast Iowa farmer Rod Jurgens. As for right now, let's take a look at the ag weather outlook. It's a little bit of a wild weather day across the state of Iowa today. You look at northwest Iowa, started off with some snow this morning. Southwest Iowa with a little bit of a wintry mix, some areas of ice and some freezing power lines. Here in the central part of the state, things looking ominous outside, but hasn't been much more than just some blustery conditions and cold. And to the east, we might even see some precipitation in the form of rain. So across the board, a little bit of everything in the state of Iowa today. But as for right now, let's turn our attention to the National Weather Service and what it has in store for the next 24 hours.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, a bit of a wild weather day across the state of Iowa with different weather patterns in the state. In northwest Iowa, snow, southwest Iowa, a wintry mix, light freezing drizzle in central Iowa, and chances for rain in eastern Iowa. A wide range of high temperatures from the upper 20s to mid-50s. Tonight, partly cloudy in the early evening, clearing up later on, breezy with gusting winds into the 30s. Tomorrow, clear skies across the state, blustery with wind gust in the 30s once again, and high temperatures tomorrow in the low 20s to low 30s. Turning our attention to our affiliate forecast for tomorrow, in Cherokee, sunny and 22. Shenandoah, sunny tomorrow with a high around 32. Des Moines, sunny and 29. Albia, sunny and 32. Waterloo, sunny and 27. And Clinton, sunny with a high around 30.
For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of AMPM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And don't forget our video content and previous episodes of AMPM, which are located on our YouTube channel. Also, we have our free twice daily market podcast for you. You can find those wherever you find your favorite podcast, whether it's Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, or Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith and Dustin Hoffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.